Welcome to Licking Non-Vanilla, a sex-positive hour of talk about kink, sexual mores, and writing dirty words. So grab a cup of cocoa, your favorite easy chair, and the lube as we go sailing into the dark, sweet waters of all things naughty. On Licking Non-Vanilla with your hosts Ralph Greco Jr. and M. Christian.
Hey kids, you have reached it once again, whether you wanted to or not. It is Licking Non-Vanilla with me, Ralph Greco Jr., I believe that's my name, and my co-host across the well, not across the pond, Chris, across a few states, mainly the state of confusion. Is my buddy M. Christian, but you have to call him M. Christian. His friends call him Chris, but you have to call him M. Christian. How you doing, Chris? What's happening over there?
Not much. Just a little bit steamier than I'm used to up here, but otherwise quite good.
Yeah, Chris recently moved to the Eugene, Oregon area, and probably a little wetter than normal. We are lucky today because we have a guest, and we have a wonderful guest. And this is somebody I've talked to. Actually, I'm be on her show tonight, the show that's airing tonight. We'll get into all that. She's got a podcast. Let me turn that's my phone beeping at me and make sure everybody's here where it's supposed to be. That's Corayln Jewel that we're speaking to today. Hello, Corayln.
Hello. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Thank you. You know, you're out there too near Chris. You're in the, well, I'm not going to give your location, but you're in a more westerly direction than I am in the east in New Jersey.
Yes.
And is it equally steamy for you, or is it hot over there for you?
It's hot, but I thought that this was the state of confusion because I am in the state of confusion, right?
Oh, that's what for sure. That's where we all are. Absolutely. But we're going to get into your background a little bit, but let's just talk about what's going on recently for you, because you definitely have a lot going on. But we were talking off mic, back and forth a little bit about the Exotica conventions that have now started up again.
Yes.
And let's talk about where they're going to be and where you're going to be with them. Are you going to be at all of them?
Okay, so yeah, I can give you a background a little bit. I'm going to be at all of them. The next one is the Chicago one, which is July 16th through the 18th. Okay. And then after that follows Miami, I believe. Is September. New Jersey is my birthday over the Exotica one, so I'm excited for that. And then I think the last one's Washington, right? Me too. That's right. We're celebrating our birthdays.
Yeah, we are celebrating birthdays, and I'll be there to cover for press. And I think there's an Exotica in New York City too this year for the first time.
Is there? Okay, I didn't know about that.
Yes,
I'm registered for
in December.
Okay, I'll have to take a look and see. So yeah, so I'll be doing seminars, and then I've got a booth set up. I'll be selling my CBD lube, my book, and my autograph images, and also my swinger lifestyle game. So I'm going to be quite busy.
Yeah, I'm sure. So this is the first Exotica in, I think, a year, right? At least, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I've never been to an Exotica. I've just done the AVNs and all the West Coast shows out here. So this is my first Exotica.
They're pretty wild. They are pretty wild, I got to tell you.
And that's what's that, back east somewhere? Where is that?
It's the one I'm going to, Chris, will be in Raritan, in New Jersey. But as Corayln just said, they're Chicago, Miami.
Chicago, Miami, New Jersey, and I believe Washington. Is it Washington, D.C.? Yeah. I think it's Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C., and then there's one in like I just said, too. I just saw that. I think the schedule's allowing for New York this year.
Okay, I didn't even know about that. I'll have to look at that because I am scheduled for speaking at all four of them. I'm wondering,
Chris, it's funny when we're talking, Corayln, we all have been talking about this, how things are going to play out now, in the live event world. And
I was surprised that actually are live events. I mean, it's like so many places are still going virtual right now.
Yeah. Well, I think they really wanted to get it up and running again. I mean, what's the feeling you're getting, Corayln? What are you hearing from Exotica or just anybody in general? Are people chomping at the bit to get out there and do something live?
Oh, I think so. I mean, I'm a wedding planner, and I've already been up and full running on weddings I've had weddings every single weekend for the past 6 weekends. I mean, people have just had enough. It's enough. I think it's enough.
Yeah.
None of my, if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you don't want to go, don't go. But the rest of us can't stop living our lives and stop making a living. I think it's ridiculous. It's enough.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult for everybody. I mean, and I don't think we do good on our own. I think we need to, I need people who need people, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was just reading in the news, like all these shootings, so many since 2021, these, what do they call them? I mean, so something's going on. People have been stuck inside and mentally, I think, have lost their minds and they need to get out. And my attitude is if you have a compromised immune system, don't go. And if you feel like, I'm going to continue living my life, then go live your life. So that's what I think is going on with Exotic. I think they're ready to rock and roll. And I know a lot of, concerts and shows, Vegas shows are opening back up again. So.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Chris, what's going on over there, Chris? Have you seen an opening of things or it's just kind of still quiet?
It's still pretty quiet. I mean, things are still pretty laid back. Of course, we don't really have a lot of events here in Eugene, and I don't go to Portland often enough. I do know that a couple of conventions I've been talking to are going virtual. They're staying virtual at least, until the next year. And the CDC even said if you've been vaccinated, then it's not a problem. You can actually gather, though not necessarily in a huge crowd. But now that vaccines are starting to roll out, pretty, universally, I think a lot of people are getting it. In fact, I heard somewhere that we're at like 65%. I know the current administration is trying to push it to 70 by July 4th.
By July 4th, I heard. Yeah. Well, I know I've stopped licking people. The last year I had to stop licking people. And that really curtailed my social life. I don't know about anybody else. What's fun here, Chris? In learning about Coralyn and talking to her, she's got such an interesting, rich background. And she's not going to say that herself because she's way too humble to say that. But let's talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, and it is going to get off topic because you're going to think I'm going to want to talk about, MILF scenes, but I don't. Well, I do. But the competitive skater world, I am fascinated by that world because I don't know nothing about it. How old were you when you got into that?
So I immigrated from South Africa when I was, I think, 2.5, 3 years old. And I started ice skating about the age 4, pretty much right away. I guess my parents took me to a local ice skating rink and I just made a decision as a little 4-year-old. This is what I wanted to do. So my entire childhood and really my entire life was revolved around figure skating. I started as a single skater and then I moved to the Lake Arrowhead Olympic Training Center. I trained with Michelle Kwan up in the mountains and then realized that pair skating was where I wanted to be. I'm only 5 feet, so I'm tiny, and I wanted to be a figure skater, and I wanted to do pair skating, and then I realized that I could represent South Africa in the Olympics because that's where I was born, and they didn't have a pair skating team. So my goal, my entire life was revolved around figure skating. I was 16 years old living in Lake Arrowhead. I was 18 living in Germany in a professional show, and then I lived in Sweden for 4 years. I coached the Olympic team out there. So,
oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, so skating,
cool, right, Chris?
Skating
That's
was
wonderful.
And not to be too crude, but she's still got the legs.
I'm still strong in the legs. This is true.
I don't even know if I want to touch that one. But so how and this is all. Tell us about the book though, because you wrote a book that did very, very well. And I want to get that book, the title of the book, out there too. But let's talk about the book just a little bit.
So growing up in my life, I was I want to say I was innocent. I was the girl that would not smoke cigarettes and I wouldn't drink and I didn't have sex because I didn't want to risk getting pregnant and not ruining my career as a figure skater. And so, as I started to tell my story to people, people would say to me, "How does a Jewish immigrant from South Africa who went to private school end up as this Olympic hopeful and then end up working in the adult industry as a director and a performer and ultimately running a swingers club and then working in a brothel? Like, how does somebody do that?" And so I would tell people and they would say to me, "You have to write a book. There's so much misconception and there's so much judgment on why people enter the adult industry. And you're a perfect example of other performers out there that have entered this for whatever reason it may be." And so, so I met a journalist at the AVN Awards in 2015 and he said the same thing, asked me about my story and I shared it with him and he said, "That's it. You're writing a book." And that's my co-author. That's Ryan Michaels. And so we wrote our book. And then I had a publisher out here in California who actually said to me, "I'm going to take your book pro bono. I believe 100% that this is going to be a #1 international bestseller." And she did. And here we are today.
And it did.
There we go. So my book has...
What's the name of the...
It's called...
Tell everybody... go ahead.
Oh, no worries. And so it's called When the Ice Melts. It's the story of Corayln Jewel. It's available on my website, also on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Goodreads. And then I also have it in the Kindle version and the audio version. And I'm actually currently writing my second book right now. So I'm excited.
Very cool.
Chris, huh?
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Not just a pretty face, you know, and an amazing mind and all that other good stuff, you know.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, Chris, we've looked over a lot of her. Well, you know, I don't want to be too brazen here, but we have looked at your stuff.
Doesn't matter.
Let's say that. And you know,
that's the polite way of saying it. Yeah.
We've seen some of the giblets, and I gotta say, it's all good stuff. Do you have a particular? And I know you do, so but I'm asking this for the people listening. Do you have a particular? Or maybe you don't. I thought you maybe did, but anyway, do you have a particular scene that you like more than anything else? The one thing that you would like to. And different between performing and directing. Do you have favorites, and are they the same or different?
So, I mean, I can say that from everything that I've done, my absolute favorite for me shooting was Wife Swinger Swap 3 with Luke Wilder was the director, and that was for Adam and Eve Productions. And the reason I enjoyed that is because it was actually a movie. We were on set for 3 days, and we were actually not just shooting, a 45-minute, 1 hour wham bam, scene, but we were actually creating a movie about the swinger lifestyle. And so that was my favorite, and that's the kind of stuff that I would love to continue to do. Actual films. I mean, that's my degree's theatrical production. And I personally, scenes are fun, of course. You just go and do your job and you leave. But I like to create. Yeah. We're actually we just started shooting my documentary. So we're now doing a documentary on my book. And so we shot 10 scenes.
Oh, very cool.
For my book last week up in Santa Monica. So I like to create. I like to direct. I like to challenge myself. And I like to challenge my actors because I'm not playing myself in my movie. I'll be playing myself as an older person. But I actually cast my old figure skating student from Sweden. I started teaching her when she was 10 years old in Sweden, and she's now 30 years old living in LA, and she's going to play the young Coralyn. So it's exciting.
Oh, wow, that's
cool.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah. And how about when you direct? Anything specifically you like to direct over something else?
Kind of the same thing, I can direct. Okay. I can direct any scene. I mean, that's a scene's a scene to me. Again, It goes back to that. But I like a challenge. So if if someone comes to me and we're actually trying to create something that's more erotic, sensual, leaving something to the imagination, the lighting, the costumes, the props, the scenery, that's the kind of stuff I like. That's the challenge. So
a little more meat on the bones.
Absolutely. If somebody just says to me, Coralyn, I just need you to direct a boy-girl basic scene. Okay, well then, it is what it is and I'll do it. But I prefer something that lets me put my creative mind to it. So
yeah, it's funny because Chris and I write a whole bunch of different kind of stuff. I mean, I don't think we're stuck in any one place, and I don't know if we have a preference. I mean, I guess there's things we gravitate towards, but I certainly like to dip my toe in as much different things as possible.
Right,
it's interesting,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if
a variety, exactly. It keeps you sharp, and you have fun with it.
Exactly. If you had to write the same thing day in, day out, it's not a challenge for you. In fact, my screenwriter flew in from Colorado, and he's a writer for Why Not, and he writes the technical side. Okay, so anything that has to do technically with Why Not magazine and stuff like that. And he actually asked them, can he do an article on Corayln Jewel, because he doesn't get to do that. And so he's writing he's writing an article of what it's like to spend 4 days with Corayln.
That's cool.
So again, but it's a challenge for him. It's something unique and different.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually Why Not. Chris and I first met at a Why Not convention.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
In San Francisco in 2009. We had known each other through writing, but we had never met, and we met at Why Not in 2009.
Okay. Yeah, I saw some of your writing on Sexpert. Aw, my heart goes pitter patter.
And it is, have you found this, Coralyn? Because we talked to Jay Moyes last time. Of course, Jay was talking you up, and have you found it to be? And is it too almost too cliche to say, but is the adult business or the adult world now specifically a very small one? It feels small to me as far as everybody kind of knows everybody.
That is 100% true. I think. Okay. The adult industry is that sooner or later you meet someone and you're like, oh wait, we've already talked before. I already know who you are. Yeah. I was actually supposed to work for a guy out in New York, and he had wanted to hire me to run his production company. And let's just say, mistakes were made, and I just said to him, I said, listen, I don't think that you understand how small the adult industry is, and my reputation. I've built my reputation to be top class reputation. So anybody who meets, will say, Coraylyn's not just an adult performer. She's got a head on her shoulders, and I'm responsible. I'm organized, and so, if you associate with the wrong people in the industry, word travels fast. And so sometimes, money's, of course, money pays my bills, but you got to also take into account that this is a small industry, and don't associate with the wrong people because, your reputation's on the line and everybody knows everybody.
We say that all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, remember, I told you, Ralph, I was writing for Sexpert as well, and then you said you were, and and then Dominica, or whatever her name is. You see, so everybody kind of, we all kind of go on sites. I went on to Medium. I started writing for Medium, and then when it says follow people, I was like, oh, wait a second, he was on my show, and I was on that person's show, and you see how it works, and that person runs a swingers club, and I'm in their magazine, and it's a very small world.
Right. Yeah, I think we've all, Chris and I say this all the time about burning bridges, and we're not prone, and like you, we're not prone to do that anyway, unless we come up against somebody that we just don't want to work with for whatever reason. We would, go with God, Godspeed, but we just don't, don't damn anybody. We just don't work with that
Absolutely.
person.
And that's the thing, is that, my dad used to always say, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. That was always saying. Even though Daddy won't talk to me right now still because he found out about my book and he's not happy about it, which is strange. But even though it was dedicated to him, but we won't go there. Right. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I always tell my listeners on my podcast and stuff like that is just, be smart. Keep your good head on your shoulders and just don't associate or work with people that are going to bring down your reputation, especially if you've worked your butt off to bring it up. So, and be,
that's true.
Exactly. Life's too short, and, it's like there's always another gig. Never think that this is the only one you do, and trust your instincts. If you're just say get the hell out, then get the hell out.
Exactly. Sometimes my head does that. I go, oh, this is going to be a really financially profitable thing for me to do, and I have my boyfriend on the other side yapping and going, you know what? I don't like this. No, I don't want you to do this. This is just not a good thing for you to do. So, keeping my head on my shoulders, he helps sometimes.
Well, we all are motivated sometimes by, oh wow, this is going to be a big payday.
Yeah.
Or this is going to, this will get me somewhere where I want to get. But then, like you said, there's sometimes when you're making those sacrifices are not worth it. It's just not worth it.
When we all grew up, what were we taught? Trust your gut, trust your stomach feeling, right?
Yeah, kidding.
Sometimes your gut's telling you, don't do it. And you're going, no, but I really could financially use this assistance. But you have to listen to your gut.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, absolutely. But other than the skating and the stuff you do in the adult industry and the podcast, there are other things you do.
Yes, absolutely.
A lot of other stuff you do other than being a writer. So let's talk about other stuff you do. Let's talk about, like, say, for instance, the wedding planning. That's wild to me, like how you get into that. So,
again, this is kind of why I wrote my book. And I remember when I was writing my book and my publisher was, ready to go, I said, wait, I forgot about this. And wait, I forgot about that. And she said, she says, you have too much stuff going on in your life. Your story's never going to end. So we'll break your book up into series and we'll focus on different things. So one book will be focused around the swinger lifestyle. One will be focused around wedding planning and event planning. And one will be around the adult industry and so on. So, so on top of performing and directing in the adult industry and working on my second book and my podcast, I developed a swinger lifestyle game. I'm doing the documentary. I told you about that. And then I am a wedding planner because someone came to me and said, listen, you run swingers events. You do a hell of a job. You bring in entertainers, caterers, you rent tables, linens, centerpieces, same thing. Be a wedding planner. So I've now been a wedding planner for since 2014. I think I have 42 5-star reviews. I'm rated the Couples Choice Award winner now 4 or 5 years in a row.
That's
so
great.
I do my wedding planning, and I also, believe it or not, own a mobile fitness company for preschoolers. I travel to preschools and daycares, and I do exercise classes, music to movement. So, yeah. I think there's more, but I can't remember.
I know. But do you find that, and I think I'm going to answer my own question here, have you had more unusual and dramatic experiences in the wedding planning than you ever had in porn?
Absolutely. People always say, what's the most stressful? And believe it or not, I have to say that the swinger events and the weddings are the most stressful. Showing up to an adult set is easy. Hi, nice to meet you. Let's shoot the pretty girls. Okay, what positions are we doing? Excellent. Thank you so much. Here's my paycheck. Have a good day. I got to go pick the kids up from daycare. Like it's a simple thing, Weddings, although I have to say, sometimes I say to myself, I don't want to do the weddings anymore. Like, it's just too much stress, But then when I do them, like I just worked a wedding on Saturday, and when I do them, and the appreciation that I get from the couple saying, "Oh my God, you went above and beyond, but above and beyond, and you made our day, and we couldn't have done this without you." Then it makes me realize, it makes me realize, okay, you know what? I'm good at what I do, and I do like it. I mean, it's stressful, but I like it, and I'm good at it. So. Yeah, it's hard for me to say which one. I've got to stop doing something. There's too many things.
There's too much stuff going on.
There's too many projects.
Now, which is interesting because you touched on the thing about the kids and doing some thing, right? And I'm involved in a children's series too.
Oh,
and,
cool.
This is how. But what we and Chris is also involved in plenty of mainstream stuff. So we do have the risk, and I don't want to say risk, but there is that area where you have to be very careful, right? To have the two worlds collide. And I always say, well, we're adults, and this is what we do, and we all have adult concerns, and we know to make the difference, and we know where one does not dovetail into another.
Exactly.
But how do you keep that balance? Because you have a wide web presence and social presence. How do you find you keep that balance? And make sure that people,
Yeah, and I mean, so originally, of course, I kept my adult industry very, very, hidden from family, hidden from friends, hidden from, wedding couples that I was working with. And then when I came out with my book, I was like, so my attitude really, and kind of why I do my podcast, is I really think enough is enough with this judgment. And so what? So your wedding planner happens to do an adult porn movie? So what? Did she screw up your wedding? Did she dress unacceptable to be at your wedding, right? Did she pass out business cards to her OnlyFans? No. So shut the fuck up, and and I'm over it. I'm so angry with all of it. So the judgment, I've had couples like after the fact reach out to me, like the groom, and say, I knew you were an adult performer when we hired or when I saw you at my wedding or whatever, and I follow your OnlyFans now or whatever, and I'm like, excellent, thank you so much, and I appreciate you not discussing it with me at the wedding,
that's cool.
But yeah, so that's my whole thing. That's why everybody knows. My children know about my book and my performing. My friends know. My swinger community. My mom knows. My mom's read my book. My stepdad knows. The only person, believe it or not, that's not accepting it is my father. But
yeah, you said that. Yeah, you made mention of that.
Yeah, and I wish people that, for like you guys, you write in the adult industry, you write in mainstream. I teach kids mobile fitness. But that's, you make a living how you make a living, and that doesn't make you a bad person or make you that I'm going to go and teach my little students about the adult industry. You know what I mean? And so I just wish people would stop the judgment if their sister or their aunt or their mother or their daughter is in this. Just make sure you're being smart and safe and doing your background checks and covering your safety and covering your ass. But stop judging.
Exactly. Thank you very much. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, Chris and I, I just always assume it just seems to be so logical to me. Like I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this, and I know when I'm, I know this doesn't go here. When I'm here, I'm doing, when Chris and I are at a kink convention, we're doing something totally different than when I present at a children's bookstore.
Exactly.
I realize I'm smart enough to know.
Exactly. Well, it's so sad because so many people are still. It's sad. It's sad because so many people are not educated enough to be like, oh, you're an adult performer, so you must. I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. If I date somebody, now I'm dating somebody that, I think we're going to be together forever. But let's say I date somebody and I bring them to my swinger event. The first words out of their mouth is, oh, so you've had sex with everybody in here, right? And it's like the absolute opposite. None. Right. I haven't had sex with any of my 18,000 members guests. Why? Because A, I'm working my event, right? And B, it's professional. If you have sex with somebody and then you guys end up having, a falling out, you've now lost a customer coming to your event. You've lost a community member. And so that's the whole reason that I do my podcast and I write for Medium and I write for Sexpert and I, go on shows and share my story and stuff like that is because, if just people like you guys and me and we can start breaking the judgment one listener at a time, we can try.
Yeah. I like to think we can, because Chris and I, in the past, before the pandemic, we did a lot of, kink conventions. And we would say it all the time. We go to kink conventions, the most normal people in the world.
Absolutely.
I know, and these are people getting an incredible amount of judgments on them.
Exactly.
But they're the most normal, interesting, cool people I ever want to meet.
I mean, I'm sure you know this. I was going to say, I'm sure you know as much as I do. Like, a lot of my guests on my podcast I learn every single day. Like, I had LA Kink Shrink, and I had Dr. Michael Perry. And these are, highly educated doctors who happen to focus on the consensual non-monogamy world, swinger world, BDSM world, whatever it may be, and help if you say patients, right, realize that you're 100% normal. There's nothing wrong with you. Other therapists will tell you, well, the reason you're having these issues is because it's not appropriate and it's not right to be consensually non-monogamous and it's not right to be involved in the kink world. And then you have all these brilliant people that are actually helping you understand that it's 100% normal and acceptable. And so that's what I'm loving about always bringing every single guest I bring on. I mean, my last guest, even though she's a pro dom, she's got a degree in cybersecurity. Like, hello. There's education there,
Right. Smart, cool, interesting people.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And, let me tell you everybody where they are. They're at Licking Non-Vanilla. We're talking to Corayln Jewel today. And we're getting into a lot of great stuff because this is what happens when you get smart people on. you get really into cool subjects and stuff. But yeah, I think we're all hoping that there's just a lot less judgments and everybody just kind of live and let live, kind of thing. Especially now, Chris and I keep talking about this. What we've been through the last year and a half or so. You'd like to think people come out of this going, well, maybe this is more important. Let's not sweat the small shit. We'd like to think that's going to happen.
It's perfect.
I don't know, Chris.
Well, it's a perfect.
I'll keep my fingers crossed.
Yeah, it's a perfect example though because it's like I say. During this pandemic, my son's best friend's mom, who became my friend, got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in June of last year. Okay. And she passed away. She passed away 3 weeks ago and we just did her, memorial. And I think in my head, like, here my father won't accept what I'm doing, right? When I'm traveling to seminars, I'm educating people, I'm writing a book, and I could die tomorrow, because we just don't know. And so the judgment and the acceptance, don't judge your sister or your mother because they've chosen to open up an OnlyFans. Because tomorrow they might not be here. And then you're going to regret that for the rest of your lives. And so, this pandemic should have shown us that.
Well, people are a long time dead. And that's it, man. And we say this all the time too. Like, what's going on behind the closed doors of your neighbors is wilder than anything you could ever imagine.
Absolutely.
Come on, there's stuff and Chris and I say this too, because when you go to a kink convention, you see people in control situations having fun and experiencing pain or whatever they're doing.
Right.
But people are putting themselves through emotional pain, non-consensual emotional pain. That dwarfs that by leaps and bounds.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so you're playing with you're whipping somebody on a St. Andrew's cross, and it looks a little strange maybe to people on the outside world, but people are beating the shit out of each other. Couples are beating the shit out of each other constantly.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And you know what I think a lot of it is like, because I also work as a webcam performer, and I've also worked, in the brothel, and I think a lot of it is, when husbands come to me on the, and they say, okay, well, my wife's almost asleep, so I want to do this role play with you, and I think I'm weird, and then they tell me what it is, and I'm like, it's not weird, but I wish you could turn around and look at your wife and say, honey, do this role play with me. We've been married for 35 years. Let's do this. Let's spice up our lives, and
we're safe as hell.
Let's pretend, and play, and I mean, one of the things I write about in my book was the story of the brothel where a man came in and all he wanted to do was put on diapers and play with rattles on the floor and go back to our childhood where there was no stress. And I was like, at first I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. And then I was like, you know what? This is fucking brilliant. This is brilliant because that's true. We didn't have stress when we were little babies, right? And so that's what he wanted to do. And so I just, whatever it is in kink, I don't like, kink is kink, but, I don't like to get whipped. I'm like, ow, I can't do it. But other people love it. And that's, and that's the sensual pain that they love. So to each their own. To each their own is what I say.
Exactly. As long as it's consensual and no one's being emotionally or physically harmed, I mean, go for it. It's nothing, whatever gets your rocks off. I mean, sometimes I think it has to do with, one, it's ignorance. People don't understand about what it actually is to do, all these various things. Sometimes I think, it's going to sound weird to say, but I think sometimes it's also that they get a little almost like angry because you're out there living the life that you have created for yourself that's full of passion and sex and creativity, and they haven't. And so sometimes they look at like almost like a jealousy. It's kind of like, how dare you go out there and do what you want to do and have all this sex and play and have fun, when I can't or I've decided I can't.
Well,
and, it kind of gets in the way of them expressing themselves. Exactly. It's like, how dare you be free about your sexuality?
Well, because it goes back to how were we all raised? I mean, most of us were raised, you will grow up, you will marry one person, that is, you are monogamous to that person, you will live in a white picket fence house, you will have 2 dogs and a cat and a college degree, and that's how we're raised. And so even to this day, even when I meet people that are, in the swinger lifestyle community and they come to my event and they go, oh my God, I know that person. I'm like, so what? You work with them, or that's your aunt. Hello, you're here, they're here. Who cares? Who cares? And that's what you guys keep doing, and me and everybody else is to just let people know. Listeners that are behind closed doors and going, God, I wish I could go to an Exotica. I wish I could take my wife with me and go to a swingers event. Go. You might die tomorrow, so go. Do it.
Yeah, that's what we say. Like seize the day, man. Especially now that we could seize the day a little bit better.
Yes.
Get out there and have a good time.
Exactly.
And those conventions you're talking about, either it's a kink convention or an Exotica or a social social event. I mean, usually I would say almost 100% people are so welcoming. They're just so open and welcoming.
Yeah, and
everybody just wants to have everybody have a good time.
And it's a chance to open your mind and educate yourself. If I go to a kink convention, I've done a partner with I'm more swinger lifestyle community or my events, and I've partnered with a group down here that does more kink. And I got to see and learn. She was doing expos and or demonstrations and learning about the flogging and learning about electric play and stuff like that and wax play. And, my whole thing is, don't knock it till you try it, or at least watch it and learn and listen and decide if you want to try it or not. And that's the same thing. It's the same thing I tell people about swinging. There's so many different aspects of swinging, Everybody laughs at me. My favorite thing is to say, that my dad used to say, it's disgusting. Where are your morals? You run orgies. And I go, yeah, at 11 o'clock at night, I ring a bell and I say, vagina's open, penis is out. Let's get started. I mean, and that's what people think, right? They think that it's all about just having sex with another couple and end of discussion. And they don't realize the different aspects to the voyeur and the exhibitionist and the hot wifing and the cuckolding and all the different things that come into experiencing your fantasy in a different way in the way that you want to do it. So
yeah, and all those, and well, I mean, and like you said, there's just layers and layers upon layers to this stuff, and things that people sometimes can't even articulate that they like. I don't know why I dig this, but it gets me, and that's the thing. And I may not want to explore it. I just having a good time, and I dig it,
Yeah.
And there's such complexity that how would you judge anybody else if you can't even understand the layers to it.
Yeah, you can't judge it till you try it, or at least go and learn about it. And a lot of things, like, for example, Let's do a kink convention. Just because I go, I might go just because I love the open-mindedness of the people and no judgment. And I can wear a sexy little fetish, latex dress if I want to, and nobody's going to judge me and call me a whore. Does that mean that I want to get on the X and, be flogged or caned? Probably not, because I already know I don't like it. Would I try the electric play again? Yes, I know I like it. So, everybody just needs to, just open your mind and experience and go to different things and learn about different things, because you might be like, oh my God, I spent 60 years of my life and I didn't know this was out here. Wow.
Or like I had this passion. I've been thinking about it. I've been masturbating to it online or however I could. And I just never had the guts to go out anywhere and seek it out because I was too afraid,
Exactly.
And that gets to me personally, because I'm thinking I'd hate to go through my whole life not having at least tried and go, okay, I didn't like it, but at least gave it a shot,
Exactly. I mean, I've got a friend of mine who, and I never give names on anything, but a friend of mine who is 70 years old, okay, and was married for 42 years and is now being able to, experience some of those fantasies that he wanted to experience, but he's 70. And I was like, damn it, because he couldn't tell his
time.
Yeah. It's like 70 years old. Now you get to explore. So, listeners,
absolutely
don't do
seize
that.
the day.
Don't wait. Exactly.
If you take anything away from this show today, seize the effing day, man.
Exactly.
Please.
Exactly. Now's the time. I think that's one of the things that the pandemic has taught us too. Is a lot of people have reevaluated their lives and they sort of realized what was important and what wasn't. And I'll bet you that when, we get the all clear, things are going to be very different, because a lot of people are like, why did I go through this 9 to 5, ridiculous, life I wasn't happy with? Why did I spend 2 hours a day in traffic when I can work from home? And, why did I buy all this stuff that just fills up my house as opposed to doing things that make them feel pleasurable? And thank goodness for people like yourself, there's all kinds of resources out there now. I mean, that's, that's something else that's changed is, back when Ralphie and I were still in baby booties, it was like pretty hard to find these communities and this information. Had to scour the back alleys and, and talk to the heavy breathers. But now it's like, you just simply type in, Corayln Jewel and you get all the information you ever wanted about where the events are and what's going on, all this kind of fun stuff. So, absolutely seize the day.
Yep. I had a guest on the show the other day who is, going through the change of becoming a TS camp performer. And even just talking to her and being like, when she was 5-6 years old and realized she was different, there was no community to turn to. There was no online resource. She couldn't go to her parents and say, Mom, Dad, I think that I was born a boy, but I think I want to be a girl. I mean, God forbid, And so now I think at least we can say that there's more resources of people to go to when they think that they might be different or want to try something different or whatever.
Absolutely.
And I hate that word different. You're unique is what I say, but...
Yeah, that's good. Unique.
Be themselves. There's opportunities for people to be themselves.
Yeah.
Right. Now, Chris just mentioned this, and you just mentioned it, so let's mention this for real. Because when we put this show up, I always blog and let everybody know who we talk to and get some great pictures up. You sent us some wonderful pictures.
Great.
And we'll put, all your links. But let's have you articulate those links so everybody can hear them from you directly. Where can people find you in all your different incarnations?
Okay, so the easiest, instead of rattling everything off, is if they go to Corayln, Coralyn, Jewel, JEWEL.com. On there, you can see where I'm touring. You can see links to my social media. You can see where to buy my book, an autographed copy of my book, or just link directly to Amazon for the book. And then I have my swinger lifestyle game. But what you can do on there is you link to my Hanky Panky podcast link. And then there are links to my lifestyle game and all my Hanky Panky podcast social media. So that's the easiest. That's the easiest. And then, of course, I've got an OnlyFans and I've got a Pornhub page and many vids and loyal fans and everything. So
yeah. And how do you liking the OnlyFans? Because I've heard a lot of things about OnlyFans recently. I was just in general, what's your overall feeling about OnlyFans?
Yeah. Let's just say There's a new one out there, which is, I think it's kind of new. There's Crush and there's Loyal Fans. Now, Loyal Fans and Crush just merged together. So for anybody that's an OnlyFans fan of mine, start looking for me on those two, because I'm going to start moving all my stuff over there. I'm already on Crush. Okay. I'm on Crush, but I'm on Loyal Fans. I have a free Loyal Fans for my Hanky Panky podcast, because it's my bloopers and my behind the scenes stuff. So just kind of cool. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how safe the OnlyFans platform is. My fans have written me and said my shit's free. It's been stolen elsewhere.
I've heard about that stuff.
Yeah, me too. There's so many different, these kind of fan sites up there. You mentioned Loyal Fans. There's a whole bunch of them now. But it's like OnlyFans has been sort of been criticized quite a bit because of lack of security and not paying people promptly.
Yeah, I mean, we only exactly. We get only, I don't know, I think it's like 60% of like our sales. Okay, and Loyal Fans and Crush are offering 80%, of our sales, and that's so I'm moving my stuff over, and hopefully it'll stay secure. And of course, there's so many out there, ManyVids is a good one. They've been around for a long time, and
they have been.
Yes. They have, and their customer service is top notch. And I've never seen one of my custom videos that I put up there anywhere else. Nobody's ever told me that. So,
well, that's good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like, Coraylyn, it's not like I've ever seen this stuff. I've just heard about it. And through research, occasionally through research, I have to look, but I'm not, I'm not looking at any of this stuff. I don't even know what OnlyFans is. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't. This has been we get lucky with our guests. We've been very lucky we have some phenomenal guests on the show, and you are. You're the bee's knees, baby, as we say. And I can't wait to meet you in New Jersey. We have our birthdays are like days apart.
Yes, and we're gonna celebrate for sure, 100%.
Yeah, I'm gonna come in I'll come in on the Friday when you guys are like that Friday night.
Sounds good.
And because that's a press day, and I'll come in and we'll say hi and we'll hang out. And I'd love to meet you in person.
Absolutely, I'll have my booth.
Actually gonna be
my booth and seminar. So
that's cool. And I'm going to be on your podcast as we speak, right?
Yes, you should be releasing this evening. I'll be reaching out to my producer and finding out if he's back from his random Grand Canyon trip and if you're going to be released. And then I was looking for pictures for you last night, and I ended up, I don't know if you saw your flyer, but I just put the Licking on Vanilla flyer up to advertise you guys. So.
That's great. That's fine. When that goes up as of tomorrow, I will be blogging about that too. So we'll let everybody know about that.
Sounds great. That sounds great.
But thank you so much, Coraylyn. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It was absolutely delightful. Now I have you back on for sure.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. This was fun. This was one of my funnest interviews. I love this one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was great to see you. Take care. We will meet you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mark, as well. Pleasure to meet you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Still listening to Licking Non-Vanilla, and we got maybe 5 minutes. We'll wrap it up here. But, that's how we roll there, Chris. Yeah. Meet some wonderful people.
And I tell you got to give us a play-by-play about going to the convention, because I'm really curious about how things are now, considering some are under lockdown and such. So that's very cool. Yeah. I expect a live broadcast from the convention floor. Well, we'll get you a portable microphone or something.
Yeah, we were talking to our producer about that. Well, I'll do something, whether I record it or however I'm going to do it. But and I put in for press for New York Comic Con too.
Oh, very cool.
Which is like a week later. And again, I don't know how any of these things are going to play out. I have no idea. I know people are looking forward to going, and we'll see what happens, but nobody knows at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of a crapshoot. I just think people are happy that they're happening. Let's put it that way. So we'll see. We'll see. That's all we can do. But we certainly learned a lot from her, didn't we, Chris?
Oh, that was delightful. She's wonderful. We've been so lucky that all of our guests have been just absolutely delightful. And it's like you did such a fantastic job, talking to people. I really say you're excellent.
Well, I think they're out there, and we do find them. And I happened to talk to her for her podcast. And when I was on the podcast, I realized Coraylyn is she's fantastic. She's so enthusiastic and so open and honest, and she has so much going on. Like, wow, this is the person to speak to. She's going to have a lot to talk about. So that's what it was all about. It was a great talk, and it's always great connecting with you too, my friend, my good buddy over there.
Anytime. And hopefully, And hopefully sometime when the smoke's finally lifted, we'll be able to do some adventure together.
Yeah, I like that. I would like to get out and about, see some people, lick some people, because that's what we do in Licking Non-Vanilla. Well, this has been Licking Non-Vanilla. I am one of your hosts, I'm Ralph Remco Jr. Over there is
Chris, otherwise known as M. Christian.
And we had another slam-banging little fun hour here. All about an hour, just about an hour. We want to thank you for listening. And if you are listening and you're out there and you want to drop us a line, please drop us a line. And we'd love to hear from you. And go on the website, check lickingnonvanilla.com. And for the blog, the update to the blog, and go on. We're on Twitter too. So you want to twat and tweet? We're over there on Twitter under Licking Non-Vanilla. And reach out, because we know people are listening. We just want to. I'd like to hear from somebody sometime. It would be cool, like to get like a letter or an email or something. But we'll see you next time. We thank you very much, and thank you everybody. Thank you, Corayln. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
And visit us on the web at www.lickingnonvanilla.com.